Hey, what's up guys? Autofanatic. So I'm going to show you guys a video for all you Alfa Romeo owners out there, and this type of application may apply to other vehicle makes and models out there as well. So I'm doing a one-off custom steering wheel on my Giulia Quadrifoglio, and being that I'm doing that, I decided that I'm going to do the carbon fiber around the control panel and also on the bottom of the steering wheel at the 6 o'clock position right there. So I got the parts from Koshi. Koshi is the company that manufactures a lot of these parts for the Alfa Romeo Giulias and Stelvias, and they're based out of Europe. So just want to show you guys quickly. So this is the OEM piece from my donor steering wheel. You can see that there it's like a injected molded ABS plastic, and they make in carbon fiber overlay. So this is a real carbon fiber overlay, very, very thin, and this has to be bonded on to this surface. That's the way it works. Now, there are companies that do laminate the factory parts, so it's just a simple of removal and reinstall of the factory parts. But this particular instance, a lot of the parts for this particular cars, they're not done that way. So they have to be bonded, and I'm going to show you guys step by step. So we're going to do this one here. Now, before you do it, you're going to want to remove the airbag from the steering wheel. And I'm going to put a link. I did about a year ago, I did a video on the complete removal and reinstallation of the steering wheel on my Giulia. So when you go onto the bottom, you're going to need a little tool to push this spring here. You could hear that right there. So there's a little spring right there, and you could access it through the bottom of the steering wheel. And that is how you're going to pop the airbag out, because I don't think you should do this in the car. I think you're going to make a mess. And it's always good to do it on the bench, and the steering wheel comes off in a matter of 10 minutes. So then you're going to unscrew the left and right control stack. There's just a couple of screws here, and you can see there, so they screw into these points here, so you can't really mess that up, and then set them aside. And I'm going to show you guys, we're going to use a couple of different ways for clamping these systems together, and we're also going to use two different adhesives. I think for this particular one, I'm going to be using a clear silicone-based adhesive just because of how thin this is. I don't want to clamp it and have squeeze out with the 2-part 3M epoxy, which I'm going to use on the other side. Now, considering that these parts have a aluminized metal finish. Okay, this is very similar to the front grille, and I also did a video on the front grille surround with the carbon fiber overlay, and I also used the 3M 8223 dual mix catalyzed auto body adhesive. So on this particular piece, I'm going to scuff this, I'm going to prep it, and I'm going to use the 3M adhesive, and I'm going to brush it on. So I'm just going to clear off the table. We're going to do one step at a time. We're going to work on the smaller stuff first, and then we're going to save this piece for last, and I'm going to show you guys from start to finish. So let's get started right now. All right, guys, so just want to show you guys quickly, this is why you have to clamp this. So you can see the overlay is over the section, but you can see the silver reveal. So you see when I push pressure on it? Okay, so even though this is the mold is taken off the original part, you're still going to have to put pressure with some sort of a clamping system. First order of business, we're going to scuff it up. I'm just using a gray Scotch-Brite. Nothing crazy right here. Dion Prep. And if you guys are wondering, this is an actual Alfa self-healing cutting mat that I'm using. Usually when I'm doing stuff like this, you're going to probably get adhesive and stuff everywhere, and it'll peel right off this mat relatively easily. So I do a lot of my adhesive projects and upholstery, small upholstery jobs, usually on one of these mats. Just makes the job go a lot cleaner if you do make a mess and spill stuff. And if you're working with a 2-part catalyzed epoxy adhesive, especially any of the auto body stuff from SEM, Norton, or 3M, I definitely suggest you wear some gloves, because this stuff does not come off your hands that easily. So what we're going to do, I already grabbed it, put a new tip on my cartridge. We're going to prime the tip, we're going to get it going. I'm going to use the acid brush to brush it all down and level it out. I'm going to take the brush, and we're going to just lightly brush this just to level it all out, because we don't want to have too much bleed out from the edges. So you can see it there, what's going on. So just pretty much lay the glue out, and then you're going to want to paint it to spread it along. Now, before this gets catalyzed, because this stuff starts to exotherm and catalyze pretty quick, I'm going to put a little bit in here in the actual piece, just to ensure that we get good bond. So you're going to get some squeeze out. It's inevitable. Just going to want to clean it up with some solvent on your rag before it starts to fully cure. And this definitely is a messy job, and you know, it is what it is, but there's no other options on the market. So this is what you guys are going to have to go through. Just like that. It's going to be your clamping mechanism. And the reason I'm using the zip ties on this piece is because you have to put a lot more pressure. The fit on the other section does not need as much pressure. You're going to want to cinch it down, you know, with enough pressure, because you don't want to just bond this and have an, like what they call an air gap between the adhesive, the substrate, and the actual overlay, because then it's just going to come out like crap. And when you go to fit it back into the steering wheel, it's just not going to look good. That is the completed, prepped, and bonded lower center steering wheel carbon fiber overlay by Koshi. I'm going to set this aside. I'm actually going to do this piece right now as well. Same process, nothing crazy. And then I'm going to turn the camera back on, and I'm going to show you guys the start and finish of this. All right, guys, so you already saw I finished both halves of the other parts. They're set aside right now to dry. And I'm just going to show you quick. We're going to do this one here. Now this one has a satin finish, so I'm not going to go crazy scuffing it. And we're just going to take some of the Guyon Prep just to clean it up. Make sure that there's no grease or oils from me touching it when I took the steering wheel apart. Now, like I told you in the beginning of the video, this one we're going to use the clear adhesive just because of the squeeze out on these thin areas. So I'm going to have to clamp this tight, and I don't want the black adhesive, the urethane, to squeeze out and ruin the carbon, because I won't be able to get to it in time before it starts to set up. All-purpose RTV, it's a sealant and adhesive. So the way this stuff works, RTV, it starts to cure when it's exposed to atmospheric moisture in the air. We're definitely going to get squeeze out, but with silicone, even when this stuff dries, you could just rub your thumb over the area and it's going to come off without damaging the gloss finish on the carbon fiber overlay. So that's pretty much, you can see the pattern. Pretty straightforward. But like I said, when it sits onto the factory part, it sits pretty damn good. But the carbon is more rigid than the plastic. So that's why we're going to have to clamp it down and try to minimize the squeeze out. Down here by the start button, you want to definitely make sure you get it over there, because that's the spot that you're going to be touching most of the time you're in the car. I figured, like a lot of you guys that watch my channel, I have a lot of Alfa guys and customers and fans all over the world, and you guys always ask me about stuff like this. And I did do the video a little over a year ago on the carbon fiber air conditioning vents, and then of course I did the steering wheel removal and swap, so you could see what I'm doing right there. So that's that. So you can see here we're completely covered, got everything going. Now I'm going to just use the brush, another brush, and I'm going to lightly brush this down. Just knock down some of the high spots, especially up here. This is where I want to minimize the squeeze out and the mess as much as possible. Now, people have said that you could install these with double stick tape. I don't recommend that. I think that the thickness of the tape and the fine tolerances between the parts, it's just not going to give a nice installation. I recommend doing it like this. Take your time, prep it, and just marry the two halves together. So just move this over here. Always want to keep your work area as neat and clean as possible. So we're going to just simply overlay the carbon, just like that. And you might see on the camera a little bit of the squeeze out already, which is really minimal. But like I told you, when you're working with silicone, it's a lot more forgiving than working with a urethane or an epoxy. So I'm just going over it right here. Okay. And you can see that there. So we got nice fit. And I'm going to clamp this with some masking tape, especially around here. We're going to do that now. So let's get some of the squeeze out before we do it over here. And the only areas that were lifting a little bit, bowing above the substrate is a factory part, were these two sections here. So that's the ones that I was concerned about, and that's why I'm using the clear adhesive. It's nice and even. Now, over here in the middle, we're going to put another piece, just like that. Keep that in check. One over here. So you could use either method of choice. If you want to put a lot of pressure, I suggest using the zip ties. If you have to put moderate to light pressure, just use really good masking tape like I'm using right here. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to come back in about maybe an hour or two when this is all done. I'm going to take all the tape off. I'm going to remove the cable ties. I'm going to clean all the parts up, and I'm going to show you guys the finished product. And then you guys subscribe to the autofanatic channel if you guys want to see the installation of this and the new custom one-off steering wheel I did for my Giulia Quadrifoglio. You guys are absolutely going to freaking go nuts. I'm still working on it, almost done with it. Should be done in a couple of days, and I'm going to get that thing thrown in my car immediately. So this is just pre-work of getting this stuff ready. So when the steering wheel's finished, when I'm done stitching it and fabricating it, then I could go on the car with no delays. So we're going to come back in about an hour. See you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, so pretty much all finished. This is 2 hours after I did the initial installation. So you can see here, I undid the cable ties, cleaned up the adhesive. So one thing that I also recommend, definitely use some sort of a polish. I use the autofanatic Ultimate Secret Weapon. It takes off any of the adhesive that your fingerprints are going to put onto the pieces. So let me just show you guys real quick. So we're going to unbond this one. And like I said, when you're working with adhesives and gloves, you're going to get residue all over the part. That's inevitable. There's really no way around that when you're doing this stuff. You're going to peel everything off. You guys can see it there. It's nicely bonded. So this is a completed piece, the lower bezel of the steering wheel. So just going to take a microfiber towel with some autofanatic Ultimate Secret Weapon. Pretty much just put it on there like that, rub it in, and you're just going to go over any of the fingerprints of residue, and you could see it on, you probably won't see it on camera, but I could see it here under the garage lighting. It's just taking everything off. I'm just going to buff out this section here and I'll show you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So you can see it there. There's no residue, perfectly buffed out. So I'm just going to wrap this up, finish it off, and stay tuned. Subscribe to the autofanatic channel if you want to see the new one-off full Alcantara, fully sculpted new steering wheel for the Giulia Quadrifoglio. And then I'm going to install this and I'm going to show you guys exactly how it looks in the car, and we're going to go for a little bit of a road test. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned to the channel for more content. Please like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for the next Alfa Romeo video, and also set your notifications for the next autofanatic video, and I'll see you guys soon.